Test 1 of new... Oh, hold on a second. Test 1 of new design. Actually, it'll probably be more efficient to burn at apoapsis or near apoapsis. I expected this to fail horribly, which is why I wasn't very committed to it. Yeah, this looks better. An apoapsis burn is probably the most efficient burn you can make for increasing orbital height. There. Going to try to be attaching a new module to Shallow Space 9, which is what this is here. As you can see, the payload is almost as big as the rest of the rocket was, which is how you know a design is high efficiency. You just need to raise that above 70,000 meters, 70 kilometers, and that's good enough. That's a stable orbit. We're also probably going to want to normalize. So, I think, yeah, this way we're going to want to burn normal instead of anti-normal. At right about here as well. There, now it's perfectly in line. Don't really need that fairing anymore. Yeah, so this is the module we want to attach, and this is just the spork lift that we're going to use for it. So, going to be docking with that thing. First, I'm going to go down to periapsis and adjust the apoapsis to meet with the station's orbit. We're also going to try to bank up enough time, bring the apoapsis down, bank up enough time before approaching very rapidly. Using the thruster to there. And now are going back up to Apoapsis to adjust the orbit, so that the very next the time we meet at the Apoapsis, it will be a perfect approach vector, or perfect enough at least. Here it comes. There. That's good enough. The separation will be 2.1 kilometers. The relative speed will be 115 meters per second, which is more than good enough. Yeah, it's fantastic actually. And we are now approaching. Also want to be pointed retrograde when this happens, so that it won't be happening too quickly for us to react. Now we can approach very slowly and carefully. In fact, changing to target are going to cancel our velocity relative to the station as soon as we get close enough. Actually, yeah. And so that is our approach. We are now close enough to begin our second adjustment. So now we're going to be pointing at the target this time, which is currently that way, apparently. Yeah, so now our orbits are almost identical. There it is right now, actually. Just going to quickly head towards that. There's the station. I can probably actually just abandon this huge fuel tank and thruster. We don't really need it that much anymore. I'm going to take manual control now to sort of adjust course. Yeah, this fuel tank is actually getting in the way, so I'll just get rid of it now. Going to point towards target. So where should we dock this time? Going to try to make it so that our course is almost on target, but not so much on target that we collide with the station. That would be stupid. You can see there's the original spoon lift design in the first spork lift we sent. Actually, no, that's a ship, not a spork lift. This station doesn't actually have a spork lift yet. Here's a place we can dock right now, actually. Which is actually why I put that cross hub there, so we can do things like this. What we're doing right now. Because otherwise, both of these ports would be taken, and we would have nowhere to put this thing now. There. And now set this to target. As target. Taking manual control. I think this is right way up here. Turning on RCS now. Trying to remember how the controls work for RCS. Yeah. Trying not to over adjust also. I just need to very slowly and carefully line this up. And now I can begin to move forwards towards it. Very slowly and carefully again. And that looks almost perfectly aligned. Yeah, this should be simple enough now. Only minor adjustments required. Dock successful. I'm just going to time warp so that we stop spinning. And there, that's another module. Now with every spork lift we send, we're going to be consuming another one of these docking port seniors, unless I use the special port that I put on the spork lifts right here, the regular docking ports, which we can attach to this dock right here that I put on the fuel tank. And so that way we can actually free the expansion ports here for use in other things. Unfortunately, I don't think I put any peripheral docking ports on the spoon lift, but I'm actually considering deorbiting that and letting it get destroyed, because I don't really like it anymore. I have a better design already. Where are the RCS tanks on this? I forgot where I put them. Wait a second, and this doesn't use RCS. Look, it uses the Werner engines, which means it uses liquid fuel and oxidizer for RCS. Now I remember. The old design used monopropellant, and that's one of the reasons why I hated it so much. It's so inefficient. Also, this ship I'm planning on using to do most of the interplanetary transferring of modules. If I open this, you can see inside that there's actually still room for one small module here and one large module back here for transporting small things like those cross hubs, and also possibly small crew quarters like this thing here. So now we have another expansion on the station here. Take a look at that. The spork lift actually has much better lighting also than the spoon lift had. That's another nice thing about it. So now we have these, all of these residential areas here, living quarters, and 2 laboratories now instead of just 1. So this station already looks better than it was originally. And as a bonus, this looks like it's almost a right angle, which is also pretty nice. Yeah, the station grows. Anyway, that's the only thing I was planning. Hold on a second. Yeah, yeah. I haven't done KSP content in a while, so this is just getting warmed up again. That clockwise station over there doesn't have any new modules. It's probably not very happy about that. Hold on, I think we can go over to it right now. It should be right. Where are you? Show yourself. It should be right in here. There it is. Oh yeah, and of course, I forgot all about the oil economy I set up on the moon. So you can see here's the tanker right here docked onto the bottom. We actually need to send a cross up to this new station because otherwise, look, it's already out of senior ports. All it has left are these smaller dock ports in the designated ship dock here. The tanker should be able to make it back down just fine with the fuel that it has. And if we wait for us, the station, to be just above the refinery on the ground, we won't even need to drive to it. We can just land right above it and onto it. So this needs habitation pods, laboratories. It needs cross connections for expansion. Yeah, and probably some other things also. One plan I actually made earlier, but then realized was so impractical it would never work, is I tried making a bunch of hexagon pieces that could fit together and that actually worked partially, but the hexagons themselves are so unstable, as well as their connections to each other, that it was basically like trying to sew a giant blanket that's made out of explosive thread, which also vibrates uncontrollably at random intervals. So that I realized was impractical, and I stopped trying. But it's still a really interesting idea to have a hexagon station. The idea was to have a giant plate made of hexagons, so like an artificial planet surface, only small, that you could dock buildings onto, which actually evolved from the original idea of building an artificial planet, which is actually still something I'm considering. A giant ring that spins for artificial gravity, but it would need to be huge in order to be big enough to put buildings on. And the problem, though, is every time you time warp, it stops spinning, and the gravity ceases to be. And so I realized that was also kind of impractical. But eventually I find something that isn't impractical but is interesting. But that's later.